Welcome back to the UKLC. I hope you've taken a break, because I certainly needed to calm down after that game. XL go 9-0 after winning a game they had absolutely no right to do so. And M&M, unfortunately, their playoff run is a little bit more precarious now. They've got a bit more work to do to get to a position where fourth is a realistic dream for them.
And what I will say is them winning against XL wouldn't have changed the opponent's standings. And what I mean by that is that M&M, one of the matches coming up is up against Envision.
Yep.
Envision are a point ahead of them right now, so them winning that is huge in terms of climbing the ladder. Whether XL is on 8 or 9 wins isn't really going to change things. Obviously, it would be nice to get your point yourself, but I still think there's going to be an opportunity to claw it back. Yeah,
the only thing it does make a difference for is the fact that if Envision continue to win after the M&M game, if M&M somehow beat them, there is going to be, some kind of potential M&M, more pressure on them. They need to continue to win. So it means the only difference it makes is that M&M didn't get the point, which is actually the most important thing when playing for playoffs right now.
Well, it's important, but I feel like it's also the worst case scenario is you lose against someone similar to you in the standings, because it's like a 2-point difference elevating them. It also hits the head-to-head. Losing against XL, it's one of those ones where the expectation isn't there for you to win it. It's like a freebie. If you lose, that's what we expected to happen. If you win, you just found a point out of seemingly nowhere against a team who are undefeated. So it hurts, but it's definitely not going to change the plan for M&M. They want to win every game out from here, do their best to keep climbing up. And with a showing like that, it definitely gives me some optimism, some hope for that to happen.
Agree. All right, we'll move on. Let's go on to Fnatic versus Demise, which is our next game of the day. Demise, they haven't had a great split, 2-6 right now. Fnatic are third, believe it or not second in the table. Barrage has that position. So Fnatic in a slot which we wouldn't usually expect. The UK has classically been dominated by our academy teams being the number 2s.
Not even that. It's been dominated by Fnatic.
Yeah.
Fnatic has been number 1 for a whole year. So for them not to be first is a big thing. Not even to be second is another factor here. Fnatic rising. They've had good performances against the teams lower than them in the standings, which is the only teams they've lost to.
Yeah.
They're only teams they've won against because they've lost to both XL and Barrage. They've looked dominant. They've looked so strong. But against BTXL and Barrage, their draft priorities have looked a bit odd. The way they're playing has looked a bit off. There was a game against XL where they played heavy scaling with no mid priority. They got crushed. I feel like against Demise, very much in their favor. We expect something more of the same. And their drafts recently have sort of rounded out to offer sort of still scaling elements, but a better curve throughout the game where they're able to accrue gold and match up. Particularly last game, putting a lot of gold on X-Matty, which worked out very well.
So we're into the pick and ban phase here. Darius has been banned. I don't know whether that's just a little nod to Kerberos.
Kerberos is abusing Darius in solo queue.
Is he actually? Kerberos is abusing Darius in solo queue.
Yeah, well, he got 1,000 LP the other day, and his most played is Darius by a significant margin. So
they are scared of the Darius pick coming out from Kerberos.
I mean, when a team has nothing to lose, they will do some devious things, bring out the Darius in competitive. And honestly, Darius, one of the concerns with it is obviously vulnerable to ganks.
Yeah.
And obviously has some rough matchups. But if you play it into a melee champion, there are quite a few who will struggle heavily.
I as a top lane main, I banned Darius in solo queue, mainly because I play Sion, and Sion sucks versus Darius a lot of the time.
A lot of melee champions suck on their Darius. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you can pick, and especially since on red side, if you can pick Darius as a counter pick, it's something that could just blow up top lane. And then if you transition that into team fights and the enemy team doesn't have the tools to deal with you, it could be rough. Especially if you're going to pick something like Zac in the top lane, which just got hovered. That would be definitely a rough situation because Darius has the damage to cut through you.
Talk to me about Fnatic's draft priority, because I feel like there is quite a lot left on the table that I probably would have taken over Zac.
So what I'm going to assume, right, because we see a lot of set first picks for Fnatic Rising. We're seeing the Zac now. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that Pride's tournament realm account is broken and he doesn't have all the champions, so he has to pick for himself.
Okay.
No, that's a little bit of a joke. The set first pick makes a lot of sense. The Zac, I feel like this is them basically not wanting to reveal too much of the composition, but a big factor of the Zac is it is actually a triple flex.
Yeah.
So often the first picks are power picks or their flex picks is the usual thing. And in this case, it's a flex pick. This is something that can go top, jungle, or support.
That is a Shyvana.
Yeah.
Is that a specific thing for Rolfchen?
Yeah, he played that before in his first game in the UKLC. Rolfchen played that, had a great game, farmed heavily. It was AD Shyvana, not AP, which if you've been watching the Prime League, they play some AP Shyvana on Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. And so they've locked that in as a farming jungler for
I love that
Option.
name, by the way.
Yeah, and then they lock in the Aphelios for Rabstar, and the answer quickly is going to be the Misfortune. So already, huge team fighting power for Fnatic Rising off the bat. They still have the flexibility of their Zac if they need it, and now they can sort of look to round out things. This pick will likely reveal one less lane where the Zac will go, unless they're going to blind their mid here, which I don't think is too likely. So could well see in the support locked in, and that means it's either jungle or top lane Zac. Now, jungle Zac, and I mean, Zac in general got buffed on this patch on 10.4 because of the Sunfire changes. So obviously more burst damage when you go for those engages. And we do see the Thresh. So obviously one of the concerns in the early game last game was that there's no safety net for the Misfortune because he lacks a dash. Thresh hands her one with the Lantern. So adding that element in towards this game, and now Demise, they have an opportunity to answer. So do they want to prioritize the support to keep the Aphelios safe? Tom Kench comes to mind, but Braum is also an alternative option.
It's going to be the Braum locked in here. So looks like a Shyvana jungle with an Aphelios Braum bot lane going into a Thresh Misfortune bot lane. Now, I don't want to talk about that matchup too much just yet. We can do that when we get into game. But talk to me about how you'd like to see specifically the Demise composition rounded out, because we know that the roles that have been locked in are the roles that we've got right now. So how would you like to see this Demise composition rounded out?
Typically, my expectation for Demise is that they're going to prioritize a blind pick for Zoran and then give counter pick to Kerberos. They could mix it up if they expect the Zac to go top lane, but I'd be cautious about that because I feel like Fnatic have done that specifically so they can have it as a flex. I think in that regard, the LeBlanc being taken down is a big hit. Fnatic Rising likely going to look to ban away more blind.
Syndra would probably be a good
Syndra being open this long is actually a bit of a weird one. So that one could be picked up definitely by Zora and Zoe, also an option that can be played up in the mid lane. But ultimately, they could look towards more top lane. There's a lot of Camille being played by Kerberos in the top lane, specifically when on Demise. It's something they lean towards. So it's essentially looking at what do we expect Demise to counterpick and what do we want to be concerned about. I'm
going to just say two things to you here. So it's the Fiora ban. Obviously, they're trying to target Kerberos maybe specifically.
Counterpick specifically, yeah.
If Fnatic don't ban Yorick, do Demise just lock in Yorick?
I mean, to be honest, if it's a Zac top into Yorick, it's not actually that good because Zac can jump out of the cage.
But just in terms of split push pressure, right?
I mean, you know, yes, but it's not normally you pick split pushers to have a specifically good matchup into that champion. And the thing is as well, if Demise first lock Yorick, they can always put Zac in the jungle and then pick something that can deal with Yorick specifically. So got to be a little bit cautious on that one. Wait and see before you end up locking those things in. They do end up banning away the Yasuo from Magifelix, concerned about potentially that in tandem with a Zac for the team fighting power, and Tryndamere banned away from Kerberos. So Camille's still open and available. Yorick's still open and available. They have split push options, so they want to lean on that. I would expect a blind mid to come out here for Zoran. We still have that Syndra available. They're going to lock that one in, and that leaves Kerberos open to the counter pick. Now, for Fnatic Rising, comes down to what options they want to pursue. Rise makes a lot of sense if they want to contest that priority in the mid lane because there isn't too much ganking pressure from a Shyvana early. Magifelix has shown he's willing to play things like the Vladimir as well, which can scale quite well into the Syndra, but you're going to have a rough early game.
We'll see how they look to round out. Again, we don't...
I like that actually if they go for the Rumble, but...
The Cassiopeia makes a lot of sense. It's been something that's worked in tandem with Misfortune so incredibly well. And, you know, now we're just either looking for... I guess either a jungler or a top laner to round things out, and this pick will obviously then give us light on where Zac is going to end up going. Either way, you're going to end up with a blind top into Kerberos here, so I think just take what fits your composition the best. You know, what do you think? Even a Sejuani potentially for Dan? It's been something that he's been defaulted onto quite a lot.
Jarvan could be solid, but I think they want to go for something in the top lane that's a little bit more stable. Gangplank good into a lot of matchups, harder to counter for Kerberos. There are things that will outscale in the side lane. Here, the Yorick could actually be pretty good into the Gangplank. That's a fine matchup because obviously you can't orange the cage being put around you. So that would make sense here, more so than against the Zac. But we'll see what Kerberos has to go for.
Kerberos has got a wide and eclectic champion pool, so we know that he plays a lot of different things up in that top side of the map. I'm excited because his Yorick is such a powerful pick, but it's the old school Kerberos. Now, before Kayle was changed, Kerberos was kind of known as an absolute Kayle monster. I haven't seen him play much since the changes to Kayle. What are we expecting? Kerberos is kind of going back to his roots almost with this pick.
So it's a little bit of a slow-paced one. Obviously into the Gangplank, you're going to struggle a bit in the early levels where you're just farming with your abilities. But this will outscale the Gangplank in terms of the 1v1 in the side lane and in team fights as well, you have that element of being able to add that ultimate to the likes of Rabstar and this Aphelios. It is an extremely powerful pick.
She had some changes recently as well. Kayle had some slight adjustments to the way her ultimate works.
I'm not sure if those went through, is the big thing.
I remember seeing them. I don't know if they went through either.
It was basically the proposed changes were when you ult an ally, you don't have to channel for nearly as long. Because right now you channel for a second and a half. They were changing it to 0.25. I'm not sure if they went through because I remember checking the patch notes for a bit ago. So when we get in a game,
I'm sure we'll see.
Ultimately here, Fnatic Rising have drafted an extremely powerful team comp. They've given themselves tools to play around bot lane with the Gangplank ultimate. And the fact that they have Thresh on Bravado means you can play pretty aggressive on that. On the other side, I feel like you could look to pressure mid lane.
Yeah.
But it's very much you have a farming jungler. You're waiting for a little bit really to come online. I think past level 6, there's a lot more opportunity for this Demise roster. But before then, you're kind of held at bay. Especially with the ganking power for Zac in the early levels. And then later on, it's very much going to be about can you avoid the initial engage from Fnatic, because they have nothing on their composition to actually stop a Zac. And Zac, if you cannot interrupt his dash, is really hard to deal with.
Yeah, maybe the Syndra the stun and the Braum knockup were well timed, but they had to be done excellently.
Syndra stun actually is a fair one.
Yeah.
So I missed that one. I completely blanked on that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Braumel is pretty slow.
I forgot the name of a champion in a team fight in the last game.
Braumel's pretty slow. So they have the Syndra, so it's going to be very critical on basically Zoran stopping the engage on the back line. It's very much on him when they're grouped together in a team fight. And it's about Kerberos finding the side lane pressure. So basically, Demise need a little bit more time to get going. They have scaling elements in their composition. They will come online together later. But Fnatic, they have more agency early on top of more scaling. So I feel like this is a Fnatic-favored draft. But if it gets to the later stages, Demise will come into their own. Demise, often Fnatic aren't going to let that happen.
No, I agree. I think Fnatic are just incredibly good at putting pressure on in the early game, something that they didn't do versus XL, and that was something that actually ended up costing them the game. XL just managed to outpace them in the early game. But in general, Fnatic's identity has always been a pretty strong ability to just take good map control early game and make use of objectives to sort of accelerate the game. So expected to see that here with this composition, especially with Xmati on something that's got, you know, a lot of power in both the mid and late game, to be honest with you. And
it's quite a strong power curve as well, because you have this bot lane that's going to be strong early and it's going to keep getting stronger. You have these solo laners that aren't the most powerful, but Gangplank has advantage over Kayle and can impact things with the Cannon Barrage, and Magifelix will scale up to be a monster. So I feel like Fnatic, there's never going to be a point where they're weak, but they're just going to they're going to be strong at every point of the game when relevant. Demise is definitely more finite windows they have to play around, but if they do get to the later stages, they really will come online with the likes of the Kayle, off the Aphelios for Rabstar as well.
Oh, here we go. Excited to see this one start up. And obviously Shyvana, slightly different jungle pathing than most because she can clear those camps very quickly with her burnout. So she can just take that Raptor camp with a bit of help from Zoiran and then go on to take that red buff. It's one of the beauties of Shyvana. And that allows her to be level 2 going into this red buff and take it very, very quickly. I think Dan's just looking to see whether those changes from Kayle did indeed go through.
Not seeing anything, so I don't think they did go through.
That's one of the dangers, you know, of like reading all the PBE notes. Sometimes you blur what actually goes through and what doesn't.
To my knowledge, didn't come through. Kayle still has a long cast time when helping allies, but I don't think that drastically changes the state of the game, other than obviously it would be a massive buff if it came in. But ultimately, Kayle picked in her current state for how strong she is.
Haven't seen much Kayle other than this, though. It's the first time I think I've seen Kayle all week. But again, it is Kerberos. It's something that he has played a lot of.
Actually, if we have a look bot lane, heavy trade came down. Look at Rabstar's health.
Oh, wow. Rabstar is very low. I think he must have got caught by a hook.
He got ignited as well. I mean, I think he might just got flayed level 1.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I think they took that trade very early.
I mean, this is the power of the Thresh Misfortune. Misfortune beats out the Aphelios in early pressure. Thresh beats out Braum in the early pressure. This is how I was potentially expecting the Tom Kench to offer that extra element of safety. Braum does have a strong skirmishing power with the Aphelios, but less safety is a big factor. So it will be something Dragdar has shown comfort on. Remember, Dragdar is a recent switch to the support role. Obviously was formerly the AD carry for Demise and last split for Diabolus.
Rabstar just trying to heal up as much as possible. Bravado trying to take a more aggressive role in this lane. And actually, somehow, Fnatic have managed to wrangle this, that they're actually having the lane pushed towards them. This is disastrous for the Demise bot lane, because they have to now be more aggressive and be a bit more active. They've got the support of Shyvana nearby. Dan is going to go and spy out where Rolfchen is, and actually feels confident enough to go straight in here. But Rolfchen will pick that up, and with Dragdar backing up as well, he'll get that full clear from top to bot. We'll be able to back off and go straight for his Raptor camp, which is very nice for him.
Yeah, nice invade from Dan, and I think that's a big reason they didn't let it shove into them and they decided to contest, was because they wanted to be able to move and assist their jungler. Ultimately, this is what happens if you get that early shove and you get it into tower, the wave will bounce back towards you, so you can set it up and freeze. But for now, they have pushed it in once more, obviously to help out their jungler. Wolfgen, though, on this Shyvana, is the AD Shyvana as we saw last time, will be looking to farm pretty heavily in the early stages to get those CS advantages.
Rabstar again taking some bad trades in the bottom side of the map.
I mean, both Rabstar and Dragdar kind of get bullied about, and this is his matchup. This is what we expect between these two.
He's just gonna run straight here for this River Scuttler. He's not even gonna bother trying to duel Pride. The only thing that the Shyvana, very classic Shyvana, is interested in is getting as much farm as physically possible. It's hilarious because that's how I always played Shyvana as well. Dan, though, he's not content. He's going to try and contest the turret dive down here. Gets the lantern in. Immediately, they're going to get the kill onto Dragdar. That'll be first blood for Matty. Go to complete dominance on the bot side of the map. Bravado and Matty crushing it right now.
And the big thing, this massive wave now going to be missed. Obviously, Zach Shuja diving with that passive, very low risk as you can resurrect. Ultimately, Rabstar able to escape with the flash, but Dragdar gets left behind. He goes down. There's now a massive lead for the bot lane. And Rolfchen, he's not really able to do anything to assist. He's just chilling farming.
He's going to flash. Can't even make it to that blast cone. He's going to have to...
I think he was concerned about if he stepped on the blast cone, MagiFelix autos it, knocks him back.
And then, so he would just unfortunately... I think MagiFelix was going for that play, so he made the right choice there, did Rolfchen. Not looking good for Demise so far, though. That bot lane mismatch is disastrous right now. BF Sword picked up for Xmati. 17 CS advantage as well.
Now, what I will say is that top lane's looking good.
Top lane's looking good. Kerberos is... He's not too far behind. He's got a small CS advantage. He's had to teleport back to lane, of course. Had to teleport back very early on.
But yeah, to be up in farm, he's about to hit level 6. That's when he becomes a champion. Yeah, so good start. Poor Kerberos. Oh, Zorian has to flash there. MagiFelix hitting 6 first, goes for the ult play. But essentially here, it's just a trade of summoners, and Zorian has TP advantage, so he can come in. Here's level 6 and extend pressure. But ultimately, the problem with this situation, oh, goodbye, Rabstar.
Yeah, Rabstar doesn't have that flash available right now. Actually, Xmati not just there right now. They'll be able to kite back against the Dan. But the flash will come through, make it rain, and Matty will pick up the kill. The flash force from Dragstar as well.
It's ultimately good synergy between Bravado and Dan, working together as we typically expect, and they find Rabstar walking about in the jungle. They end up punishing him, and now he's even further behind. And look at the wave position. It's being pushed up in front of Matty's tower. He's now going to shove it and try and crash it as soon as possible. This just means Rabstar, he's so far behind in this matchup. And we've seen before what happens when Matty gets ahead. Specifically when Deadly was playing the Misfortune, we saw what happens when a Misfortune gets ahead. It's pretty devastating.
Yeah, it's not looking good. And I'm sure Kerberos is not feeling too happy as well, because he's managed to keep his own versus Pride in this top lane matchup. Remember, he just needs time to scale up on this Kayle, but I don't think Xmati is going to give much time over to Demise. With the way that his Misfortune is situated, they are crushing it.
But fortunately, they found an avenue to go for this dragon. So there was heavy priority force there for Fnatic. They invaded aggressively, but Dan had to back away on low HP. The whole team went for resets, and as a result, this dragon ends up getting picked up by Demise. And that gives bonus stats to the Shyvana as well. Extra armor and magic resist, so absolutely looking to capitalize on that. And Rolfchen is up in farm. He's hit level 6 first, so top side of the map's going okay.
Yep, top side of the map is going okay.
Bottom side, less so.
This is kind of what you want as a Shyvana. Like, Shyvana is one of those champions that if your lanes just go even, you're going to come out of the jungle an absolute monster at some point. So you just want to try and allow your lanes to be as even as possible. But he's got a big CS advantage right now. He's doing very well. Kerberos just trading back against Pride here.
Yeah, just have to stay in the Vamp Scepter, so not hurt too much by losing out a little bit in those trades. MagiFelix will now get the blue buff. It's a lot of power to shove waves in. And yeah, a slow early game so far, definitely favoring Demise, but it's just that bot difference is the big concern for me. Gold lead is about 1,100, and that is essentially going to be coming from the 80 carry roll. I actually feel like the lead between them, if we can have a look at the gold quickly, Maddie and Rabstar lead is probably bigger.
Yeah,
it's 1,200, which is essentially the full gold lead, but I think there are discrepancies in the jungle which go in favor of Demise, which are kind of making up.
About 500. It's a CS advantage, obviously, for Rolfchen right now. You expect that as a Shyvana. She doesn't have much impact early on. In fact, her ganking even post 6 isn't the most effective in the world.
It's more about your power and skirmishes.
Yeah.
The fact that you can engage pretty effectively, be a threat to the backline. You end up being quite bulky, but also putting out a lot of damage. And a lot of synergy with the Braum pick. This may be one of the reasons why they went for that.
Yeah, you get the twin bite, it gets a double stack.
Yeah, so basically, if Braum hits a Winter's Bite, you auto-Q, you just instantly stack up the stun. Now, Rabstar and Dragdor not having fun bot lane. They're going to have to back off here. Herald has been taken on the top side, so they know... Oh, goodbye.
He had to waste the heal as well. Thought he'd get out of a range. And, oh, Rabstar, this is a rough game for you. Rolfchen maybe just going to summon the Herald straight away on this top side of the map. They're going to take as many plays as they physically can. And Rolfchen's going for the dive. Remember, he is very strong right now. And that's kind of what Shyvana can do. She's got such incredible skirmish power. But they won't get the tower here, I don't think. They've got a wave coming in. They'll maybe be able to contest for it.
They can stay potentially and look for it. But it gets so tanky at those lower plates, and they use the Herald earlier. Zoran struggling this trade.
Goes very aggressive versus Magi Felix, but that doesn't really do anything, and Swyram will go down.
Yeah, I think trying to outplay too much, trying to sidestep the poisons, ends up getting hit regardless. Goes for the ult as sort of maybe he'll do enough damage, but ultimately doesn't in that situation. And Magi Felix looking dominant in the 1v1, which is concerning because topside, again, doing fine. We got that kill on a Kerberos. We got some plates into his pocket. The tower's now down to 1 plate remaining. But ultimately, the goal leads in favor of Fnatic because mid is winning and bot is winning. And they did that naturally without outside help. They're just winning. They're outplaying in those matchups. And bot lane, I do think that Misfortune Thresh should win against Helios Braum. That is how the matchup should go. Not this hard, for sure. But it definitely is favored towards them. But mid lane, Syndra's supposed to be able to hold her own in that matchup. This is really Magi Felix just outplaying. And we've seen that quite a bit. If you remember one of the earlier games of the split, he played Syndra into Echo, which is a counter matchup for the Echo, and he just dominated it.
I think also it's worth noting that Zoran hasn't fallen like massively behind in CS. He just took that one bad engage that Magi Felix obviously managed to win. It was a small outplay, but realistically, it's been an even lane up until this point.
But the problem is that you're playing Syndra. You know, you're playing Syndra so that you can apply pressure because you have great wave clear, you have great trading power. If you're behind even slightly against the Cassiopeia at this point, it doesn't really get better.
No, I agree. I completely agree with you.
So I feel like if you flip the champions, Magi Felix would be ahead of Zoran based on how they've played this, like significantly. So Magi Felix fine to be scaling up in this situation. Zoran
forced to flash straight away. That's the stun coming through now, and Rolfchen says, no, we can't take that fight. Too much support there. For Fnatic, I'm going to go back to farming my jungle.
Basically, yeah, that is essentially what's going to happen with the Shyvana, just trying to farm up and remain relevant. The Zac, though, has so much engage power, which makes things difficult. They are now potentially looking for Pride here.
Yeah, Pride's in a bit of a rough spot, and Rolfchen...
Oh, he just walks past him.
He is. Awkward place to go for the ult there, Rolfchen, but they should be able to get the kill onto Pride. Trying to give it over to Rabstar, potentially. Rolfchen will just have to take it if he can, and he will, with the burnout, chase down the Gangplank. Matty got the kill onto Kerberos 1v1, I think.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen as well.
There's a lot
Both top laners and yeah, goodbye, Rabstar.
Rabstar's just dead. Great flash, actually.
Is that the Nimbus Cloak? That actually might get him out.
That will get him out.
Power Nimbus Cloak, that extra movement speed. Now, Demise is just trying to sneak the dragon as they were chasing. They should actually get this one. And again, this is big. That's 2 dragons in their pocket, which obviously is something we talked about a lot, is that dragons give you time for scaling because it extends how long before the soul comes available. But also it gives extra stats to Rolfchen, so even more value. And Kerberos no longer needing his TP to move over that dragon will TP top to catch the wave. Maddie will just back away because now that Kerberos is ult available and he doesn't have his, he doesn't want to take that fight. Did end up burning his flash to find that kill on the Kerberos, so is without that for a while. But ultimately, Fnatic's still firmly ahead.
He forced Kerberos' flash as well, though. It was a flash for flash. And that's Zyron gets knocked up here, down immediately with the ultimate. Surely will go down to Magi Felix. And that'll be another kill down, finding a gank once more.
Yeah, bit of a misplay. The Scat of the Week needs to stop the Zac from the knockup. He ended up using it towards MagiFelix, and ultimately he didn't even stun MagiFelix, but knocking MagiFelix away won't really change things. You need to stop the knockup from Zac if you're going to survive that one. And so a bit of a misplay from Zorian, but ultimately a great engage from Fnatic to again punish this Syndra. And with just bot lane losing, I would have said this game could be salvageable. With bot and mid getting crushed like this, it's looking very rough for Demise.
Pride's going to walk straight into Dragdar, who's there with Kerberos. The ult comes through to make sure he can't flash away. Not that he had the flash anyway. They want to secure that kill.
220 gold he was with. So.
Yeah, not really sure. And there's going to be a teleport coming in from MagiFelix to protect that top lane tier 1. They don't want to give that up.
We've heard a lot about the safe blind that is Gangplank. Great on weak side, but Pride not doing too well so far this game. 0-3-0, definitely the weak link right now in this game in particular for Fnatic.
I mean, there's been questions raised of Pride in general coming into the Fnatic roster. It was the question mark top lane pick that Fnatic had.
Which I don't think was necessarily a criticism. I think it was more on the fact that we didn't know what to expect. Hasn't been the most stellar, but I feel like in this game it's not likely to become
an
impactful.
issue.
Yeah.
I think you've got Maddie just doing as well as he is right now.
MagiFelix as well. That Cassiopeia is getting very strong, and at this point, the Syndra just has fallen behind in the curve. You're never going to overtake the Cassiopeia again. She just gets stronger and stronger. It's different for bot lane. Aphelios does scale up extremely well, but he is massively far behind. So we're talking late into the game when he's caught up in items.
Kerberos is 11 now, by the way, and has got us that CS advantage opening up. So, you know, the guy that you did need to do well, he's picked up that Hextech Gunblade. He is in a situation now where things are going to start to get good for the Kayle. Not quite severe late game KO yet, but...
Problem is that in the side lane, Cassiopeia can hold a KO pretty competently. So even with Pride being behind, that shouldn't be an issue in the long run for Fnatic. They are looking towards this second Herald. They've started up, and there isn't really any position to contest this. Demise are all on the bot side of the map.
Maybe they just realized that it was never going to be something they were able to contest.
Maybe potentially trying to find a pick on a Pride, or at least secure some farm for Rabstar. Kerberos, you're in trouble here.
He is. Will get away. Dragged back by Kerberos into the hook from Bravado. Has to pop that ultimate if he can, but it will do nothing as MagiFelix will pick up yet another kill here for Fnatic.
Just disrespectful from Kerberos. You knew they were doing the Herald. Your whole team had moved away in respect, but you decide to stay and pick up a wave. It's just costly, and it's just a silly mistake.
That's classic Kerberos, though. Anything for the wave.
Anything for the wave. I think that's his
mantra.
His catchphrase.
They're going to lose the mid lane tier 1 here. They're also going to lose the top lane tier 1 too. Yeah, Demise in a rough spot. 16 minutes, 5,000 gold, the lead almost.
Oh, that was a nice knockback.
That was a good knockback, but it's not going to matter anything because Bravado picks up. Look, Dan's already going back to the desk. They're ready to go straight on camera because Fnatic are just taking over right now.
It's just looking rough at this point. Now, I had to check. I had to make sure. I expected it, but I wanted to confirm.
Yep.
Kerberos, as Kerberos always will do, is running Gathering Storm. So, that means if we hit the late game...
The real late game.
This game goes to 80 minutes. He'll have a lot of stats coming in from that Gathering Storm.
Oh, Kerberos, never change, my friends.
It's the long con.
It is the long con game for Kerberos on this KL, and I don't know how much game is left for him to con, but it's certainly not going to be long. As Fnatic are just continuing to hit big item spikes. Double items on Misfortune now. Double items on MagiFelix.
Oh, they're TPing it. They're just looking for this dragon.
They just want the dragon real bad.
But you are 5,000 gold down, and Fnatic are looking to contest this one, so could be a little bit concerning, but this is likely going to be the fight that could dictate the rest of the game.
And MagiFelix is in a great spot for it as well. The ultimate missed from Rabstar. There's going to be immediate engage from Dan. He doesn't get the best ultimate as the flashes come through, but MagiFelix wards everyone away into a huge bullet time. It is a 2-0 so far. MagiFelix will chase Zweiren down. Kerberos will flash across the wall. It was a big gamble to go straight for the dragon. And I don't think Rolfchen's going to get out either. He jumps onto onto Matty, but Matty's just too strong at this point in time. Rolfchen will run away with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, I expected that outcome.
and I'm still disappointed.
Still disappointed.
I expected nothing, and I'm still disappointed.
They missed the ult from Rabstar. Other key moments was Dan jumping in and hitting basically everyone, and then Kerberos ulting Dragdar instead of Rabstar at the end. Maybe used to ulting his old AD carry, which is Dragdar, and ends up saving the Braum instead of the Aphelios, but ultimately they get crushed.
This has not been a good game,
no.
guys. And again, they're another team that is in an awkward spot when it comes to playoff position. This really does feel like it's going to hit that nail in the coffin for their chances for playoffs. And with the form that they've been in, I think even if they made playoffs, it would have been a rough ride to try and make it any further than that. Fnatic just crushing. Everyone except for Pride has had an absolutely amazing game.
It's like you're doing great, you're doing great, you're doing great,
yeah.
Sometimes you have to bear the brunt of that, though. In fairness to Pride, Demise did put the pressure down towards top lane, and he had to soak that. So
I mean, it was the one lane that Rolfchen had an impact in. So I think, you know, it is reflected in the scoreline. Every other lane has done fantastically. Pride just got a bit of a beating.
And if you look purely at the KDA, Rolfchen's smashing it. His KDA...
Oh, look at this guy.
His kill-death ratio is actually infinite. Right?
It is perfect KDA. Rolfchen is the ultimate solo queue jungler. Just you go onto his profile, it's like, wow, he's got a 26% win rate on Shyvana, but look at that KDA, it's like 7.
This is ambitious.
It is, because Magifelix is very strong. Rabstar has to ult, but Magifelix going for it. There comes the Seraphs. That's just a strict double kill. What? Oh no! I mean, this sums up this game.
I don't understand what they were thinking.
Oh, Kerberos. Now Kerberos is getting chased down by Dan. Magifelix and Bravado are there as well, and Bravado's going to be looking for the flay into the hook. Magifelix jumps in, and I think Kerberos is just dead. If anything summed up this game,
I'm crying.
I really think that Magifelix finding a 2v1 versus Demise's bot lane and still Pride dying basically sums up this game. Rolfchen, you're just dead, my friend. As a Zweiren. Oh, Dragdar, you've come to join the death party too.
It's like, did you see that the LEC D&D content?
Yes, I did.
With the and humanoid dies. It's the same thing here.
Pride. And
so
Pride dies.
You get a double kill 1v2 and Pride dies.
They're going into the base. Matty is just so strong right now. I'm actually just going to get up. This game's just done.
It's over.
This game is over at 20 minutes into the game. Where's the FF button, boys? Because we are now at an 11, nigh on 12k gold advantage for Fnatic here. And really...
I don't know why it just tickled me so much when they went for the 1v2.
I mean, you know,
I respect the attempt. You got to try something when you're behind, but it just seemed so funny to me.
Maybe they thought that they had the burst potential. You know, they hit the Winter's Bite, they got the stun. Maybe they thought that they were able to make that work.
I mean, in these situations, you're this far behind, you have to try something. It's all or nothing.
I mean, Rabstar did some gold, right?
He's nearly got half as much gold as Xmadi, so that's not a good thing.
No, he's also Flame Horizon by Xmadi. This has been a rough game for Rabstar. And again, I do feel like the draft kind of boxed him into this lane. Like, you kind of saw the misfortune. You had your options, but
they'd already picked Misfortune twice. I don't think Braum was the pick here. It really didn't give them any pressure in lane to sort of counteract. Or, you know, the Braum synergizes well with the Aphelios, but I think Tahm Kench offers a bit more safety. The laning power still might be a bit rough, but Tahm Kench can hold his own. He can bear the brunt of the trades pretty consistently with the great health healing, and also sort of slam his tongue at the enemy team. But ultimately, ended up backfiring pretty massively. I think skill discrepancy was a factor too. Mid lane, where Syndra should have had pressure, she got crushed. Rolfchen was farming away, which was great, but ultimately you leave your team to lose.
Look at the item, by the way. We've got a completed Essence Reaver versus an Infinity Edge, a Hex Drinker, BF Sword, an Essence Reaver. We have a single Hextech GLP 500 for Zweiren, who hasn't yet even finished his second item, versus a Banshees, a 10 stacks Mark. I'm going to stop that in a minute because we've got an engage coming from Dan. Dan is basically 1v4ing. The bullet time is disgusting. The flay comes through as well. And Fnatic just absolutely clean house. This is game over. This is done. Magifelix will not pick up the kill. It will go over to Bravado, and they'll be able to shove in here for the final push in the game. Maybe even just go straight over to Baron. I don't think they have the minion wave to work with, but
I mean, they definitely could have probably just forced through and ended there. But
They probably could have
they're
done it.
playing it safely. They're playing it by the numbers. Just in an old chat.
It's just like
Have you seen?
I know. I wish we had a replay because Dan jumped in and he landed his elastic slingshot onto 4 members. And I think because of the Cinderhulk changes and plus the fact that he's now got the Warmogs there, he did half HP to everybody before even anyone else has touched the rest of the Demise team. Now that might be...
So this is 10.4. Obviously, the more HP you have, the more damage you get from Cinderhulk, and this activates when on your next immobilizing spell. So right now it's dealing 64 bonus magic damage and releases a Fire Nova that also deals that damage around you. And then you also have all the damage from your kit. Basically, it's just the fact he half HP'd everyone by himself, and then the Cannon Barrage came down.
And the bullet time.
Well, that was later, but initially it was just they were already so chunked by just Zac and the Cannon Barrage. At this point, I feel like Pride should just build a Leandries, just because that's all he needs to do is just press R.
Rolfchen's basically like, I am the split push threat now. I win this game by taking turrets myself. And they'll finally get their second turret of the game in the top lane. They are going to end up losing probably the game for it as the bullet time comes through onto Dragdar.
Kiv ulted himself there.
He did because he knew that he was more important. And he gets away with it. Unfortunately, Dragdar loses his life. They're going to be pushing onto the tier 2 in the bot side of the map. And they're going to be able to potentially go for this bot lane inhibitor turret too. I want to have a look at the KDA.
It's the nerf to
look at Rolfchen's KDA though.
It's a nerf to the Aphelios ranges. We're seeing it.
I don't even think I need to say anything.
Yeah, we saw the Aphelios ult miss, and its range to get nerfed. So I'm giving that sort of caveat to.
He just doesn't really felt. He hasn't really kind of played with the new range nerf.
Yeah,
enough.
but ultimately, I don't think I've seen a one hit yet. Ooh, nice little jump in, jump out with a lantern. It's a final fight for Demise. Can they defend? We'll see them give their best shot.
No. The question, I mean, look at the damage they just did there. Absolutely ridiculous. Come on, guys. Let's finish the game. Fnatic, they'll easily take this. They'll go 7-2 in the first day of the UKLC, heading towards the latter half of the season. This is a great spot for Fnatic to be in. Just lanterns himself back out. They want to get that KDA jungler down, and they do. They'll take the win at the end of it as well. Fnatic, very comfortable win versus Demise. It's not much you can say, really. It was just bot difference and then just ended up being map difference, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, Rolfchen farmed pretty nicely.
I mean,
that's sort of where it ends.
Rolfchen's KDA, he was at a KDA of 1.5, which was the best on Demise.
Yep.
I think, to be honest, they just boxed themselves in with the draft. I mean, you go Aphelios, Braum into a Thresh Misfortune lane.
I think it's a factor, but I feel like...
They also lost the lane at level 1, which didn't help.
Yeah, and also Zoran got crushed in a matchup that he shouldn't really get crushed in. Maybe the issue was having the Shyvana farming means you don't have enough pressure early game. But ultimately... Yes, there were other factors like the draft, but I think skill discrepancy was a big factor here. And despite them managing to beat up Pride and hit his KDA, and probably his pride of it too, they weren't able...
You're so proud of that, weren't you, Dan? I'm really proud of that one.
Yeah, I'm proud. That's a good one. They weren't able to really challenge the rest of Fnatic, who were all untouched. 0 deaths across the board. And it looks a little bit rough, not just for this game, but for the chances for Demise to make it past playoffs, 2 playoffs, even close. Ultimately, Fnatic, it's a repeated thing where against the teams below them in the standings, they look like the second coming of SKT, but they still have lost to Barrage and XL. And that's the big thing I'm looking towards, is them going into their second matchup against them, because it's so polarizing. It's like here, this looked like a game that was crushing, right? It looked like that Fnatic came in and had a better draft. They came out of the gates really strong, and even when Demise found that one little avenue to punish top, everywhere else was just murdering them. And yet this team will lose to Barrage and XL. And that's what makes it, it's got me curious, and it's making me wonder, the skill discrepancies is obviously somewhat significant, but I'm wanting to see if one of these teams below them is standing can challenge them. Maybe Envision when they have the next match, or maybe Fnatic have found their stride. When they go up against XL and Barrage again, they just crush them. But either way, this was not a game for Fnatic to lose.
Nope, and Fnatic took the win very convincingly. Let's take a quick break. When we're coming back, we're going to have a game between Envision and Barrage. That should definitely be a good one.